Governor Joe Manchin wants a November election to fill the Senate seat left vacant by the death of Democrat Robert C. Byrd. If that happens, Manchin, also a Democrat, says he'll consider running. But he says he will not appoint himself to fill the seat. State election officials say Manchin should pick someone to serve the remaining 2.5 years of Byrd's term, and voters shouldn't decide until 2012. Well, joining us now to discuss the succession process for Senator Byrd's seat is Dr. Robert Rupp, a political science professor at West Virginia Wesleyan College. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Well, I'm glad to be here to try to explain West Virginia politics to you.
Well, what is the current law about how to determine Senator Byrd's successor?
Okay, the current law is murky, surprise on this. The governor appoints it, but under legally, the candidate has to be elected in the primary before the election, which means that an appointment could last 2.5 years before we have the sequence of a primary and general election, and that's really created a lot of outrage. People don't want to wait 2.5 years for an election.
So Governor Manchin said today he wants an opinion from the Attorney General on whether an election can be held this year.
Yes, and I'm sure the Attorney General will say, yes, the sooner the better. It's in the spirit of the law in the 17th Amendment. So I expect a special session within a few weeks to allow a Senate election this November.
Okay, so a special session would be called. I guess there's already one prepared for another topic soon?
Right, and this way, so it would be very easy to change the law.
All right. And you expect that to happen, basically, that a special session will be called to make the law, revise it so that they can hold a special election?
Yes, what's been amazing is basically in the last 72 hours there's been a huge blowback in which people say they don't want to wait 2.5 years, and I think it indicates the electoral mood that they want to have an election as soon as possible. And I think it says something about West Virginia politicians that they're bending over backwards to accommodate this demand.
Now, if a special election is held in November, how would the candidates be selected?
Well, since the primary is out of the question, each party will hold a separate party convention. They did this in Murtha's district in Pennsylvania. It's a common technique to nominate a candidate. Okay.
Who are the likely candidates then?
Well, basically, there's only one 300-pound gorilla, and that is a very popular, in fact, one of the most popular governors in the nation, is Joe Manchin. So it's given that he would run in the November, and it's also a strong indication he could easily win. In fact, there's even a motion that both the AFL-CIO and the Chamber even want him to appoint himself. This is how popular he is in the state.
What do you credit his popularity to?
Well, one is we're an energy state, so we're counter-cyclical, so we didn't suffer the financial hardships that other states do, and plus he's a very popular natural politician.
All right. Now, on the GOP side, how does that look if you're saying basically Manchin would be nominated to be the Democratic candidate, right?
Right. The most popular and most powerful Republican in the state is Shelley Moore Capito, who has been elected to several terms for Congress. But there's a big question is, would she take on Manchin this November or wait, because there will probably be a special election for the governor in this spring. Things are happening here in West Virginia.
Okay, so if there's a special election for the governor, normally how soon would that?
That looks like in the spring.
Uh-huh.
So what we're really talking about is within the next year, West Virginia will have a new senator and a new governor, and the expectation is new senator will be Manchin, and the new governor is up in the air.
When would normally when would the governor's term be up?
Usually, things would wait until November 12. In fact, this whole state was waiting until November 12 when we were scheduled for a governor as well as the senators. But as you see, the calendar was pushed back, and things have really been, it's like hitting a chessboard. All the pieces are all over the place here in the Mountain State.
And especially because for so long, I guess Rockefeller and Byrd have dominated.
You have to realize it's been a quarter of a century. The last open Senate seat was 1984. Nothing has virtually changed for a generation, and suddenly everything is changing.
All right, Dr. Robert Rupp, a political science professor at West Virginia Wesleyan College. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, take care.
All right, and now let's send it to Mel.